Flares.
2 Whip Flare.
2 Curse of Death's Hold. 4 Sphere of the Suns and a Slag Storm. And then various green, red, and black lands.
How many removal spells does he have main deck? 1 Slag Storm, 2 Whip Flare, 2 Doomblade?
3 Doomblade, 2 Ratchet Bomb, and a Geist Flame.
I think it could be rough here for
he was definitely
the Delver deck.
He was definitely brewing with this blue-white deck in mind.
And we got a turn 1 Delver of Secrets from Gregory Pashby here on the left. On the right, we have Gregory Hatch, so it's a Greg v. Greg matchup. Now,
basically every card in Hatch's deck is at least reasonable against. All right, so we got a turn 1 flip.
Vapor Snag.
Revealing a Snag.
That's going to be very good against Greg's creatures. I mean, Greg's creatures are not going to be coming out 2 at a time. It's going to be 1 at a time.
Right. So, I mean, but the information here is valuable. Like, he can try to set up a game more built around his removal than trying to answer with his creatures.
Gregory Pashby, with his first mistake of the match, he's playing a Fishy Ponder instead of a 3-moon Ponder or a full text or a full art Ponder.
I don't know. I like going as old as possible and no promo cards. I would actually rock the same Ponder.
Fishy Ponder, I don't know.
I'm gonna agree to disagree there.
Our first
and the Beta Islands. I mean, this guy's got it figured out. I'm gonna have to disagree here.
Turn 2, full art Forest.
Dragon Soul Summit into basic forest, and
Say go.
Pashby here has got to be a little curious about what's actually going on here.
In for 3. Both these players undefeated. This is round 2. 1-0.
Undefeated after round 1.
Undefeated. I said it, then I was like, it's only round 2.
All right, so Invisible
Stalker. Now, that's a card that's the centerpiece of one of the decks I've been working on for a long time, and it's just now starting to see play. I think it's been an underutilized card. 3 mana, Slag Storm? Nope, not enough red. He's only got
Olivia,
1 red.
There it is.
Liliana.
Not super awesome here, but it'll at least be a Diabolic Agent and absorb a little bit of damage.
I bet you it's going to kill... Actually, this is a really interesting call. Delver is obviously really powerful, but if you're seeing those colors...
You had to assume that
Stalker is hard to kill.
Right. It is.
I'm not sure about this. I mean,
Pashby's got a... He's sort of just... I mean, he's sort of guessing right now, right? Like, he doesn't actually know what the configuration of his deck is, so...
But you didn't see a turn 2 removal, so it's got to be reasonable to assume that there isn't another removal for the Delver, so keeping the Delver does make sense.
All right, so he's going to take care of the Olivia.
Taking care of Liliana. Liliana's dead. Another Stalker.
That's another argument.
There we go.
Another argument for getting rid of... The second Stalker, not nearly as good as the first one.
Absolutely, and he's got a Vapor Snag in hand, so he can use that as a kind of a crappy counterspell if he wants to try to protect his Delver.
Right.
Greg needs land here. I don't think he has it. Rampant Growth, perhaps?
I don't believe that's...
Doomblade on the main phase.
So this is the big question mark. And this is sort of the value of having an unknown, a deck that...
And that's a Sphere of the Suns. Invisible Stalker would love to get a Rune Chanter's Pike.
Pashby actually doesn't really know what's going on with Hatch's deck, I would assume. So that question mark with what do you do with the Vapor Snag there is pretty hard to answer. Like, is he just ramping up into Planeswalkers and am I going to die with this thing in my hand? Or does he have some sort of fatty and then this becomes very valuable?
Sword of War and Peace. This will be very good if it doesn't, if it gets on that Invisible Stalker. Liliana of the Veil, one of the few things that can be done. Gregory could also cast Curse of Death's Hold.
Or Slag Storm. He's got a couple outs here, but he's got to find them pretty quick.
Slag Storm, this is the only turn window he's going to have for that.
Right. He has a couple answers that work this turn and then don't work after that, so... He is tanking.
4 mana. Run. He's going to have to go for a race. It's a rough race to try to be in. Not much in Gregory's hand.
We're going to have to rock the last names because they're both Gregory's.
Oh, good point. Not much in Pashby's last hand. Yeah. Good point.
I might be a rookie, but I got a little bit of this figured out.
Lays a land before combat. I'm not sure about that one. 1 less life gained. That is going to be for 3 plus the hand size, which I think is 3 for Gregory Hatch. Two mana available. Rune Chanter's Pike?
Yeah, he's got a Pike and a Snag.
I like the Pike. Just put it down. Says go. Do you have a counterspell in your hand? I don't. Are you are you bluffing one? I think I see a memory or a mana leak in his hand. Vapor Snag, Rune Chanter's Pike. I think a mana leak, and I'm not sure about the last. Gregory just packs it up, packs it in.
So let's go to the sideboard here. We have Greg's actually got Hatch has actually got. I mean,
a lot. It looks like
pretty close to 15 justifiable sideboard cards to varying degrees. He has another Ratchet Bomb, 2 Slag Storms, and two more Curses. A Garrick, a Liliana, a Doomblade, a Worm Coil, 2 Batter Skulls, and 4 Ancient Grudges.
You know, so, I can almost see... I mean, I wouldn't board in all 15 because then you stop being what you are.
Right. And,
but all of those have a reasonable place in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think Garrick's a little out of place in the matchup because he's just trying... I don't think, he can really afford to spend his 4th turn just making a Wolf. And he has so many ways to take over the game. He has so many threats that just take over the game by themselves that, that could potentially go. I mean, you certainly want I believe that you want the Slag Storms and the Curses and the Ratchet Bomb for sure. Maybe some number of the Ancient Grudges, but
I think
his deck already has so... All of his cards are already so good that I'm not sure where he's supposed to make cuts.
I think you also definitely want Liliana.
Right, yeah.
Liliana as a card against the various Delver decks. Almost all the Delver decks have one major flaw, which is they're stretching for their creatures. Because the good creatures, there just aren't very many of them.
Right.
And we saw the Invisible Stalker, and we saw the Sword of War and Peace main. If Gregory Hatch has been watching the metagame that has been developing, it's not unreasonable for him to put Gregory Pashby on the specific deck that Charles Ginty played. And if he did have it on that, there is a couple of Midnight Hauntings, but Midnight Haunting is one of the only cards that really makes Liliana not so great. And Liliana is great against things like Geist of St. Draft, like Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, he has so much target removal. Hatch has so much target removal in his deck. He just needs to give himself a little bit of insurance against the untargetable guys. So the Edicts and the Slag Storms can fill that role, and then your various Doomblades and what have you can take care of the looters and whatever of the world.
On the other side of the world, I think that what we see is not so many cards for Gregory Pashby. Phantasmal Image is a potential answer to Thrun. Gregory Hatch did show a Thrun.
Right.
You can probably assume with Thrun and with Spear of the Suns that it's reasonable to expect a Titan of some kind.
Yep.
I would guess multiple Titans. In this case, there's only one Titan in there, 3 Inferno Titans. But I wouldn't be surprised by Phantasmal Image making an appearance. And I also wouldn't be surprised by one Dissipate coming in for the board, just as a catch-all to a deck you don't know what it's doing.
Right, and again, the Sphere of the Suns just definitely tips you off to there being something big going on, so the Dissipate makes a lot of sense. And then he has... again, you can kind of rationalize bringing in Oblivion Rings and the one Celestial Purge because, it would stand to reason that there is stuff in Hatch's deck to target, but Pashby's sort of wandering in the dark for the time being.
For those of you who are just joining us, this is Star City Games Live. And we're here in sunny Los Angeles. If you want to join the conversation that happens about this event, the hashtag for the tournament is hashtag SCGLA. And you can directly message us at SCG Live. I'm Adrian Sullivan, joined here by Patrick Sullivan. If you want to message me directly on Twitter, my Twitter is Adrian L. Sullivan. And Patrick, I'm going to try to get him to get a Twitter account, but we'll see what we can do about that one.
I don't know, man. I think there's going to be I've dug in my heels so long about it that if I cave at this point, then I'm just going to be subjected to endless mockery. So I just can't. I can't do it.
I know people that were trying to resist cell phones, and it's
yeah, and
okay.
I held out for a real long time.
Really?
I didn't have a cell phone until I don't know, like 2004 or something. Like I held out pretty long. I still don't have a smartphone. I have some like crappy little like you can barely text, like can't take pictures. I try to dig in my heels about technology, man.
You and Brian Kowal might actually be the same person. Okay, so Gregory Pashby is playing Blue-White Delver. We saw this list in almost card for card, might even be card for card in the hands of Charles Ginty. Ginty was calling this deck Geist's Blade, Mountain from Gregory Hatch.
All right, so both kept their 7, and Hatch starting off pretty nice here with the Sphere of the Suns. And Pashby bricks on his Delver, it looks like, and gets in for 1. And a land and a pass. And already things starting much better for Hatch this game.
What are the kinds of draws that he needs to see?
What does Hatch need?
Yes.
I mean, he basically... So that
Ooh,
looks like
Daybreak Ranger.
Daybreak Ranger.
That card is such a monster in this matchup. Even if it doesn't flip, it can still kill flipped Delvers.
Yep. So now he actually kind of doesn't want to reveal, which is funny.
Turn 3 here for Gregory Pashby. He lays an island.
Daybreak Ranger's the Brian Kibler jam.
I was just thinking that about how Brian Kibler really jumped on that card. Ooh, O-ring from Gregory Pashby. In for 1. How Brian Kibler really jumped on that card as like one of the really good ones from the set, and I agree it was. And there was a real upsurgence in it, but then it just didn't kind of quite come to fruition.
Yeah, this might be the part of the metagame, like, you know, the expression like a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right.
This might be the time where the broken clock is right. Daybreak Ranger might have his moment in the sun here with all these blue-white decks.
Second Daybreak Ranger hits and another Sphere of the Suns.
Yeah, so
I was actually thinking of another expression too, where it's like, if you don't like blank, usually something that changes.
right,
Wait.
right,
And so in this case, if you didn't think Daybreak Ranger was good, wait.
yep.
Once again, Daybreak Ranger making it not profitable to flip the Delver unless you want to turn him into a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
Oh, Rune Chanter's Pike.
Yeah. Pashby's in some pretty rough shape here because, I mean, Hatch's board is so developed mana-wise, and he has so many big draws in his deck from here that these blue-white decks often, because the individual card quality is, like the power level of the individual cards is relatively low, if games drag out, then...
We have a flipped Daybreak Ranger.
So Hatch is trying to explain that that his trigger resolves first because Pashby is the active player, so he actually gets to go and brawl with the Delver before he has an opportunity to flip. So now he's thinking about it.
Now, in general, the Delver is not going to have much of an opportunity to be able... No, you're untapped, Gregory. Not going to have much of an opportunity to capitalize on being a little bit bigger because that extra 1 damage isn't going to really come in very often.
Yeah, this is sort of a nuance of the rules nuance right here is at the start of the turn, both the Delver and the Werewolf are triggering, and because Pashby's active, his trigger goes on first, and then Hatch's trigger goes on, so Hatch's resolves first, so his Wolf gets to flip over and brawl before the Delver has a chance to flip.
I don't even know how you come back from this without, some kind of crazy shenanigans.
And that interaction is actually, it doesn't seem meaningful, but it could theoretically mean that if...
Ancient Grudge. We talked about this before.
The reason Hatch wants to brawl there is if Pashby could potentially have Gutshot in his deck still, so allowing him to flip plus a Gutshot will allow him to get the Werewolf off the table. So he has a negate for the Grudge. And so he's going to flash it back on the sword. And the Daybreak Ranger is going to flip back now. Hatch's hand appears to be Inferno Titan and Slagstorm.
Oh, wow. I almost feel like Pashby should just, with his the way his deck is set up, almost just scoop it up right now.
I don't know. If I were him, I would try to see at least one more card. Because, again, he doesn't really have perfect information on what's going on here. I mean, I don't think Hatch needs to show him one more card because I believe he's presenting lethal this turn, but no harm in trying to see one more thing.
That's a very good point, to see if Hatch will show him more. In for 10 plus 3 plus any pumping he wants to do.
Yeah, this is mega lethal.
No blocks? No Delvers no Snapcasters? Okay, let's pump it. And that's it.
Yep. So Hatch wisely shows him nothing else, and the Inferno Titan and the Daybreak Ranger are able to get it done.
Inferno Titan is such a monster. I remember when it was first printed, a lot of people called it the 4th best Titan, with a lot of people calling Frost Titan the worst. Though I've said his name a lot already today. I apologize for saying it again. Brian Cole was like, "What do you mean? Frost Titan is the best or the second best?" But things change. The metagame always changes, and what's good changes. Right now, in this world of creatures, Inferno Titan casting Arc Lightning,
Right.
which is the card it casts. It's a good card to cast.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, surprisingly higher impact than making 2 zombies, even against the creature decks. Inferno Titan actually had my vote as being the worst of the 5. Not because, I mean, all the Titans are obviously fine. If you cast any of them on a stable board, the game's over. So it's a little silly, in my opinion, to rate them because they're all kind of the same card. But I thought Inferno Titan was the worst because red traditionally been least in the market for that kind of card. But there's nothing wrong with it intrinsically. It's just you had to find a red deck that wants to cast it. And Hatch has certainly cooked up something here that is in the market for an Inferno Titan.
And we saw with Ionaga at Worlds, our new world champion, he put a whole bunch of Inferno Titans in his deck.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of Titans in general. He's got his 4 Primeval Titans. And off the top of my head, I forget if he had 4 Inferno or 3 Inferno. But, you know, he definitely was way up there. And the thing about an Inferno Titan that's just so insane is if you're talking about a world of Moorland Haunt tokens, talk about a cleanup crew. You know, things kind of have gotten a little bit, you know, troublesome, and you stabilize a little bit, get rid of the big threats, and the Moorland Haunt is just grinding away. You drop that 6th mana, and you just undo the work of all of the Moorland Haunt recovery.
Right.
Okay, so clearly after sideboard, Gregory Hatch has a lot of answers. Gregory Pashby, what he wants to have happen is he wants to have a turn 1 Delver, and then I think what he's going to need to do here, having seen from Gregory Hatch an Inferno Titan, having seen a Daybreak Ranger, I think he's going to need to try to close the game out very quickly and have a little bit of counter magic just to stop the 1 or 2 big cards before Hatch can come back in the game.
Yep. All right, Pashby's going down to 6 here. Hatch looks like he's keeping his 7. I also think Pashby's got to believe that his best shot here is getting Sword of War and Peace on the guy. A, because Pro Red seems valuable against Hatch's deck, and secondly, because Sword of War and Peace unchecked at the first game basically was enough to take it down. So,
I mean, Gregory Hatch is going to have a lot of cards in hand. It's just he's not going to unload his hand unless he has a kind of draw that Pashby probably can't beat anyway.
Right. It seems pretty rough for. No, we're going to 5.
Wow. And Gregory Hatch gives a sympathy grimace.
Gregory Hatch is not a sympathetic man. I've known him for a very long time. That guy is perhaps keeping up appearances or whatever, but he's not a chatty opponent. He's actually a super friendly guy, but he is all business when he's actually gaming.
So is he a California player then?
Yeah, he's one of the LA guys. Or not. I don't know if he lives in Los Angeles proper, but certainly from Southern California. A regular in the LA/Orange County/San Diego area PTQs and such.
And you've been playing in California for quite a while now at this point.
Yeah, I've been out since April of 2005, I believe. Yeah, April of 2005. So I've been out here for a while.
LA is only a place and California for that matter, is only a place I ever visit. So
you are a lucky man. You are a lucky guy. I kid, but not really.
Well, LA is kind of like Mars, is one of my jokes. If you ever have been to LA and you have an opportunity to come out here and just kind of take in the city, it is unlike any other place on Earth in some ways.
Yeah, it definitely has its own character, that's for sure.
Greg Hatch, he's been on the Pro Tour a couple of times, it looks like. So and it looks as though...
He's a grinder, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some finishes.
It looks like he got a top 16 at the Star City Games Atlanta.
No, I believe that's Ryan Hatcher.
Oh, that's Ryan Hatcher. Thank you. That's bad. But Greg Hatch, pardon me, I had Greg Hatch before. There we go. Greg Hatch winning an event with Mono Red, winning another event with Wolf Run White. And in the game we have Second turn here, Delver comes in.
Yeah. It's a pretty good mulligan. As far as a mulligan of 5 goes, Pashby can't ask for too much more. He went turn 1 Delver, flip revealing Mana Leak, and
here he is just copying it. Why not? You know, if Gregory has the answers, it's going to be bad no matter what. Oh, Whip Flare. That is a kick to the teeth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I like Pashby's play of not holding up Mana Leak.
I agree.
He's not got all day, and the Mana Leak's only going to stave off so much, so your best bet is to get a ton of pressure out there, and then if you get to untap the following turn, you have your Mana Leak, then you actually have a shot at winning the game.
Oh, no. You can cast that Mana Leak, but it does not counter Thrun. You can certainly cast it, though.
It's just setting up a future Rune Chaser's Pike, perhaps.
I think that was just a frustrated gaff after a double mulligan. And there's the Olivia, which I think is going to be a Mana Leak as well. Okay, Pashby needs some...
Although, Hatches misses land drops here, so... And he's missing red mana, so... I mean, I don't think there's any coming back from where we're at here, but...
It's a lot of mana there for a sphere. Never mind, just 2. Land, and I think Vapor Snag in Gregory Pashby's hand.
Yeah, I mean, he has nothing to deal with a Thrun. Because nothing deals with a Thrun.
And there's Olivia. Vapor Snag the Olivia. Why not? A slight different line of play if he was a little bit less aggressive. He could have had a Phantasmal Image for the Thrun and then a Mana Leak that wasn't thrown away for the Olivia. But
I don't think that gets him anywhere.
I agree. He'd still be at nothing on the table right now, with basically nothing in hand right now. So even under this other line of play, I mean, I don't know that he's in a good position.
Hatch's deck is basically lands and spells that Pashby can't beat. So you don't have all day to muck around trying to actually play a reactive game. You just kind of have to do your thing.
Fishy Ponder.
I mean, right now Thrun is lethal / the Abyss, depending on what Pashby has. There's no getting out from under this. I guess Midnight Haunting.
Midnight Haunting can stop the bleeding, and then you have to follow it up probably with Snappy Midnight Haunting.
Yeah, it's just, there's some running line, I'm sure. Geist Flame to the Nugget.
You know things are bad when your opponent is directing burn at your head.
Probably means an Inferno Titan to kill him. Or just Slagstorm the head. I mean, kind of doesn't matter.
Olivia. Day of Judgment doesn't even save him, even if Gregory Pashby had it because of the regeneration on Thrun.
Right.
And there we go. Gregory Hatch taking it down 2-1.
Yep.
I mean, you're totally correct, though. Gregory Hatch's list is full of cards that are so hateful to Pashby.
And this has always been, from what I know, having hung around Hatch for the last couple of years, that's definitely the angle that he takes as a deck builder. He's not the type of guy who's trying to tune the best build. He's trying to find angles in the metagame where he can attack. So, not surprising to see him show up with something like what he has today.
Yeah, I feel like I often end up in a similar position with Gregory Hatch, where if you're saying he's going at angles at the metagame, that's usually how I try to build.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, I try to develop all the various skill sets because they're all helpful to have.
I agree.
Definitely transitioned more, I think, into tuner than brewer in the last couple of years, but...
I'm still always brewing. I don't think I'll ever stop brewing.
Yeah.
And one of the things about going at angles at the metagame, there are so many pitfalls to angles. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan. I'm joined here by Patrick Sullivan. We're here at the Star City Games Live Open Series, and we're in Los Angeles. We just finished round 2, a match between what you were calling a, quote, Jund.
Jund.
Because I think I agree with you. Jund is not a color combination. It's an archetype.
It implies something kind of specific, yes.
Yeah. And I don't think it actually fits that implication. The implication of Jund really is what? That you're going to be creating a mid-range beatdown deck with massive card advantage and essentially fast clock and shocking disruption.
Right.
This is not that.
Yeah, this is some kill spells and some fatties. It's
I think
a little different.
This is actually very The Rock, actually.
Yeah.